Yo, what's going on everyone, it's Frigadew99 and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. This time I got a wicked Strand Warlock build for you that is sure to get you through Legend Onslaught, Legend 0 Hour, and even Grandmaster Nightfalls. This build mops the floor with any piece of content you put it into and is the ultimate Strand Warlock minion build for you lovers of warlocks and minions and just sending out a wave of threadlings at your enemies. This thing suspends everything, unravels everything, and just destroys the battlefield with ease. You can send off one shot and just watch your Unravel and Strand take apart waves of enemies as you just watch back and enjoy the carnage. Now, of course, with all my builds, there's going to be a picture at the end for easy copying, along with a dim link in the description. Without further ado, let's jump into the build. Now, of course, starting off with the build, we have our Super Needle Storm. It's fantastic for clearing out any sorts of enemies that you need to. A group of yellow bars, boom, one single yellow bar boss, and you just melt them down. Always save it for those times where you really need to just get some damage off, and then if you're going into an encounter, you can just burst down a boss with some of the most super damage in the game. Moving forward to our class build, of course we're rocking Healing Rift. It's just better for endgame content, as having that continuous healing allows you to just stay back, shoot from where you need to, and not worry about immediately going down. Moving forward, we also have our melee Arcane Needle. This gives us 3 charges of our melee. Whenever we hit someone with it, it unravels them, which causes them to take additional damage from little strand projectiles. And also, with these 3 charges, we actually get increased regen the more charges we have. So if you're looking to maximize the benefit out of this melee, hold on to 2 charges and only use the 3rd one, as you have increased melee regen while you have those 2 charges still active. Moving forward, we're also taking Shackle Grenade. Shackle Grenade is absolutely fantastic as it suspends a group of enemies, is quick for suspending an unstoppable champion if you need to, and then also it interacts beautifully with our first aspect here, Mindspun Invocation. With Mindspun Invocation, we hold Q to consume our Shackle Grenade and activate Weaver's Trance. This causes final blows while Weaver's Trance is active to create a suspending detonation around them. This absolutely causes crazy amounts of damage as you just tag one enemy, they go down, and boom, a suspending wave goes off. If they are unraveled, if there's any sort of unraveling happening, that just spreads to all the enemies and you'll just notice a chain reaction just from this one thing being active. It's absolutely amazing with this build, and it's just so beautiful to see it go off. And then of course for our second aspect here, we're rocking the Wanderer. This causes the tangles we throw to just travel in a straight line unaffected by gravity, and then whatever they hit, it creates a suspending burst as it sticks to it, and then threadling final blows will also create a tangle for us, which is just beautiful on top of things. The Wanderer is really nice, as even when you cause a tangle to appear in a group of enemies, you can just tag it and boom, suspend goes off and you can just clear through enemies. You don't have to worry that much because everything is being suspended around you. Now moving forward, we have our fragments. First up, we're taking Thread of Rebirth. This causes Strand Weapon Final Blows to have a chance to create a threadling. This is absolutely amazing, as the more threadlings we have, the more damage we're doing. And then also we're taking Thread of Evolution, so our threadlings travel farther and deal additional damage. Again, we're feeding into that pure minion build with this Warlock. Moving forward, we're also grabbing Thread of Warding, so picking up an Orb of Power grants us Woven Mail. Really important, as Woven Mail is a super high damage reduction bonus and is vital for surviving in endgame content, especially Legend Onslaught, where you are just getting onslaughted by enemies and damage. And then finally we have Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy. This allows us to pop our Weaver's Trance with our Shackle Grenade and get it back in time to keep Weaver's Trance up pretty much full time. If we don't have it full time, it comes back pretty quickly just because all the unravel, all the suspending bursts going off, each instance of damage causes grenade energy back. So with all these threadlings and unravelings causing instances of damage, it means we're just getting little percentages of energy, but it just adds up and boom, we have our Shackle Grenade back and we can use it whenever we need to. Now, that's going to do it for the subclass. Moving on to the weapons. Now, starting off with the weapons, our main exotic of choice is actually kind of up to you. This build works beautifully in any situation, and at least for me, I've been having a lot of fun with Final Warning. Final Warning is an exotic sidearm that just absolutely decimates enemies because you can proc unravel super easily, it has homing shots, and it has high crit damage shots, which means it's even useful at taking out tormentors, as they take additional damage from those crit shots in their chest. Now, Final Warning, absolutely fantastic. You also have things like Quicksilver Storm, and as well as Wishkeeper. If you're going into endgame content, Wishkeeper can be absolutely amazing, as getting the suspending off for your allies means you can just lock down areas with ease. And then Quicksilver Storm, it's grenades, it's Strand, it's just a purely really good option. It's not too flashy, it just gets the job done for what you're looking for. Other than that, I'd recommend to try out Tessellation if you haven't. Tessellation is absolutely fantastic, especially because each takedown with it grants you 20% grenade energy back, meaning you can throw out shackles, you can load them into Tessellation and fire them off, and you can proc Weaver's Trance whenever you need to. And then of course, if you're looking to rock some sort of Strand primary and a solar weapon, I would recommend your special weapon or your energy weapon be solar, just because there's a lot of interactions with getting solar takedowns to apply radiant to ourselves. It's not needed and you can rock arc stuff, but if you're looking for that just a little bit more edge, then consider putting on a solar special weapon or a solar energy weapon. And then finally for your heavy, your two kind of choices will either be Semiotician, which is a fantastic Strand rocket launcher. It can roll with field prep explosive light to give it 11 rounds in the magazine, or 11 rounds in total, and then explosive light just does heavy damage. Really good for any type of content you're going into. And then anything else, you can pull out things like Circular Logic with Hatchling. Hatchling causes precision hits to spit out a threadling, and this plus Thread of Rebirth sometimes means we are spitting out 2 to 3 threadlings on a single precision takedown. This means we are absolutely littering the battlefield with threadlings, so I'd highly recommend you get your hands on a hatchling machine gun or just a hatchling heavy weapon, just to try it out. Now, that's going to do it for the weapons. Moving on to the artifact mods. Starting out with the artifact mods in first column, of course we're taking 3 anti-champion perks. Of course, grab it for whatever weapons you are primarily using, as these also overcharge the weapons that you're grabbing. Overcharge is a 25% damage increase in legend and higher content, so whenever you see that little symbol, make sure that you have these right perks on, as even if you're not relying on these stunning capabilities, the damage increase is very important to have, especially when you're trying to get those Grandmaster Nightfall completions. Moving forward to second column, we're grabbing our Origin perk Specialization 1. This improves the benefits of Origin traits with Sundering, Nano Munitions, Nanotech Tracer Rockets, and it also overcharges these traits as well. It's just really nice to have, especially because a lot of these weapons are really good, so it's just nice to actually use them and get that overcharge benefit as well. We're also just taking from whence you came, so we get increased ability damage on taken and scorned combatants, always nice to have. Moving over to third column, we're grabbing Flint Striker, so Rapid Solar Weapon Precision Hits and Rapid Solar Weapon Final Blows create Radiant. This is really nice because we don't have to be on Solar subclass, but we can still get the Radiant to ourselves. We don't keep it up all the times, but when we do, it's really nice to have. We're also grabbing Torch, so while Radiant, we deal increased weapon damage to combatants affected by Strand and Stasis debuffs. We are constantly debuffing everything with Strand, so not only does this help out our allies rocking Torch, but it does help out us whenever we have Radiant. And then of course we're grabbing Wished into Being. While our super is nearly fully charged, ability Final Blows spawn Orbs of Power. This doesn't happen all the time, but we do get Arcane Needle takedowns occasionally on smaller enemies, so it's nice to have just a couple more orbs pop out and use our Needle Storm that much faster. Moving on to fourth column, we're grabbing Unraveling Orbs. This causes picking up an Orb of Power to grant Strand weapons Unraveling. Unraveling rounds inherently give the weapon anti-barrier, so if you're using something like Circular Logic or the Mercado, it'll give those anti-barrier, which can help out in endgame content. Of course, it's also really nice as Unraveling just causes massive ad clear. Moving down, we also grab overload rocket launchers just in case we're using semi-optician and we need those overload rounds. And then also Dragon's Bite, breaking a combatant shield with Strand or Stasis weapon has a chance to suspend or freeze that combatant. Of course, we're suspending everything, so this is just a cherry on top. And then finally for 5th column, Horde Shuttle, damaging unraveled targets with a weapon occasionally spawns a threadling. Even more threadlings because we are constantly unraveling everything. So again, it is perfect. And that is going to do it for the artifact mods. Moving on to the armor. Starting out with the armor and our helmet, we're grabbing Font of Wisdoms for a plus 30 in intellect while we have an armor charge. Always nice to be able to cast our needle storms faster. We're of course grabbing heavy ammo finder because again, we love using our heavy ammo, especially when we're using a machine gun, as if we have this, it means we can pretty much use our machine gun as our primary weapon. And then obviously harmonic siphon, so our strand weapon final blows create orbs of power. The more orbs, the more supers we can cast. Now covering our stat focusing here, of course we want to tier 10 resilience here for the 30% damage reduction against everything in the game. It's just mandatory again for endgame content if you're looking to actually have a bit of leeway. Then of course we're maxing out discipline here for a lower grenade cooldown. We want to be sure that we're using Weaver's Call as much as possible, so having that tier 10 discipline is a little bit vital. And then finally, you can kind of balance out between recovery and strength. Recovery is pretty good, but again, we have woven mail and we're getting orbs of power. We're okay on healing department as sometimes we're a little bit back, and having your strength stat a little bit higher means we can get some of our abilities back a little bit quicker just because of some of the mods we have moving forward. Speaking of those mods, we are rocking double impact induction, so whenever we deal damage with our powered melee, it grants us a little bit of grenade energy. Now again, this is why having our melee stat a little bit higher is nice to have, especially since we're rocking Font of Vigor, which gives us a plus 30 into our strength stat whenever we have an armor charge. The more arcane needles we can throw off means the more grenade energy we can grant to ourselves, which means the more suspending and weaver's trances we can proc. It all just feeds into each other. Down to the chest piece, we are grabbing a double elemental resist to match whatever the current threat modifier is. So if it's a void threat, you want to have double void resistance on, and then whatever third elemental resistance you find you're having the most trouble with. Again, match whatever that threat modifier is with double resistance. Don't go 3, as it's much more important to have a single one on to balance yourself out. Down to the boots, we have our exotic legs, the Swarmers, which of course come with the intrinsic perk Swarmers. Destroying a tangle spawns threadlings, and our threadlings unravel targets that they damage. Very simple, but very effective. Again, unraveling enemies means we're spawning more threadlings, and the more threadlings we're spawning from our tangles means we're just causing more damage. Swarmers really makes you the ultimate minion Strand Warlock that you have been looking to be. And then of course for the mods, we're grabbing double strand weapon surge because we want that 17% damage increase when we're using our strand weapons, whether it's final warning, quicksilver, or our heavy weapon like circular logic and semi-optician. And then always we're grabbing recuperation, which replenishes health each time we pick up an orb of power. Absolutely vital for endgame content, as there's so many orbs on the ground all the time, and when you are on a sliver of health and you see an orb of power, boom, picking it up, you are saved and good to go, and you can save a run sometimes. Recuperation is really vital. Have it on all your builds, have it always on. And finally for the class item, we're grabbing double bomber, which grants us grenade energy when we use our rift and class ability. Again, this is really nice as we want our weaver's trance at full uptime. Once you actually get into the rhythm of this build and you have that full uptime, it means it goes off amazingly well, as all the suspending you're doing is helping out your teammates immensely. This is also the reason we're only rocking one Font of Restoration, which gives us a plus 30 into recovery while we have an armor charge. If we had 2 Fonts of Restoration, that would be a plus 50, and that also reduces the cooldown on our rift, but I think it's a lot more vital to have 2 bombers, which means you can pop your rift, get that grenade energy back a lot quicker, and use Weaver's Trance or use your Shackle Grenade in those moments that you need to. You can already have a pretty decent high recovery with Strand, so you only rocking one Font of Restoration is in my opinion, the way to go. And that is going to do it for the build. Now, this is one of the first kind of builds that I put together way back last year with Nightfall, and I can only tell you that this build has gotten amazingly strong. The more strand weapons we've gotten over the year, and just how this build has kind of evolved with the meta, at this point in the game, it is absolutely amazing. It will mop the floor again with Legend Onslaught. You're trying to get those 50 waves and those shiny weapons, this build will carry your team through it, and if not, it'll get you pretty damn close. And then going over from there, Legend 0 Hour is no joke, as you are causing so many suspending that you're just clearing out those shanks in that final room with ease. And then on to Grandmaster Nightfalls. The amount of suspending and unraveling you're doing just eats away enemies' shields, eats away those tanky health bars, and can actually make Grandmasters a little bit fun, because you are just spawning so many threadlings and so much suspending that it's just a good time. Anytime you are using this build, it's a good time, because you are just dealing that much damage and causing that many threadlings to just swim out. I tell you what, when you activate Weaver's Trance and a group of enemies spawn in Legend Onslaught, sometimes you just get one headshot, boom, and a bunch of suspending, a bunch of unravel, and a bunch of threadlings just launch forward in a wave. You can literally sit back and just watch them go at it for sometimes just 30 seconds straight. Now, this is a build that I personally love, and of course, if you need a picture for it, there is one on screen, along with a dim link in the description for easy copying. Now, if you like my build videos, be sure to hit a like on this video and leave a comment if you have any weapon suggestions or things you just want to say. I try to respond to everything, so don't be shy, don't be afraid, leave those comments because I love seeing them. And then, of course, if you want to see more of my build videos, if you want to see more, be sure to hit subscribe, as we approach Final Shape. I'm just putting out more build videos to get you ready to grind, get you ready to have those shiny weapons prepped for Final Shape. And then once it launches, expect to see prismatic builds everywhere, because man, I am cooking up some real good stuff. So be sure to hit subscribe and be along for the ride, because man, Destiny 2 just gets better and better. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I have been FreakyDude99, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out, everyone.